What's a situation that most people won't understand until they've been in the same situation themselves? Abortion. A lot of women don't really realize how they will react until they're in that situation are tested. I'm in Texas, or it's pretty much illegal. I know 3 women who have had abortion in the last year. All still vote Republican anti-abortion. 2 of them just weren't ready. Their partners, also anti-abortion, helped them leave the state to get it done. T had a partial miscarriage of a desperately wanted baby. It wouldn't come out. So she called around for 2 weeks looking for a doctor who would risk to perform it so she wouldn't become septic die. Gun violence shooting event. It's unbelievable the resistance to firearm regulation we have in the US. At this point the debate is over until some high-ranking politicians get shot up or lose family. If there was any justice in our world, those who refuse to acknowledge the gun crisis would be only ones to lose a loved one in these shootings. Their stance if only once they felt the warm, wet spatter of their child or spouse's brain matter slung across their faces at what was supposed to be a joy-filled activity like a festival or concert. Getting in a car accident. Everyone seems to think they would take time to assess the situation, react accordingly, cleverly maneuver their vehicle into a safe position and be fine. Nope. You're driving along and then 1,000 things happen in a split second, and you are in a crushed up car and it's all over before you have a second to make your first thought. This is what scares me about drivers, bikers and pedestrians flying through traffic in pitch black winter nights, totally confident they would have all the time in the world to deal with any issues. Having to be the decider of if a person should be cut from life support life-saving measures. Mother, who is currently battling cancer, made me the person who will make that call because she believes I will honor her wishes of not being hooked to machines and being DNR, and my sisters would not. I say it pretty easily now that I will honor her wishes. That even being given this says something I wonder about, and how easy difficult it will be to make that decision if it ever has to happen. Poverty, depression, war. Oh God, war. Don't care how much you suck up watching the news, you will never know what it feels like until you've had to evade bullets before. Nor is it really possible to know how any individual will react until it happens. And loneliness. Oh God, I can tell just by talking to some of the fuckwads on the internet that barely any of you understand that concept. Even people who've been in prison don't get that one. Unless you are a hermit, you probably have no idea what it feels like to be one. Having abortion regret. It's hyped up to be so freeing, and I believe that many women have had that experience. They feel relief and free. I had a rush of good hormones when it was complete because I was so sick. I've since had a baby with my then boyfriend, now husband, and yeah, I was sick basically the whole pregnancy. But that faded within a few days, and I have cried and screamed and wished with everything I have that I kept my child. My arms have literally ached to hold them. They would be 5 this year. COVID, like really bad unvaccinated ventilator sort of COVID. It pisses me off so much when every post a news account shares on Facebook about COVID patients gets laughing emojis and people commenting must be election season lol. You do that on posts about people with cancer. It's hard to see people commenting on it like it is some big joke hoax when I know how COVID completely changed my life and the lives of so many others. Unless you lived the horrors of it, you can't possibly understand. Being cheated on. To have someone you loved more than life itself betray you is awful. What makes it even worse is usually the person who has betrayed you gaslights you into believing it was all your fault. Those who have not experienced such betrayal don't understand. They often say ignorant things like it takes two to tango, or just move on. Find someone new. Being betrayed by a loved one is something that changes you at your very core. You will never see the world the same way again. What it's like to be gaslighted and non-believed while in constant pain. By your family, by your doctors, by anyone. The situation to them many times, and classmates that say mean things like I should be that smart and stay at home till 2 a.m. in pain. Look at me. I'm having period cramps as if you exaggerated. Wanting to have kids. spending $74,000 on fertility treatments just to be heartbroken. As if this wasn't bad enough. Your parents don't talk much to you because you have no grandkids to visit, but are constant doing things with the siblings who do. You will never be a grandparent by default. You will have to take care of your aging parents, but nobody will be around to take care of you. All problems life throws you aren't taken seriously because you don't even have any kids. Abuse. People will say it's easy to leave, easy to find help, etc. It's not easy when they control your money, threaten your children, have weapons. All the while they're manipulating you and promising you they'll be better. When I was a child, leaving my abusive stepdad meant suicide or moving in with family on the other side of the continent. It meant leaving my mum, my brother, my school, everything I knew. I had no one physically stopping me, but that doesn't mean it was easy. Growing up with abusive parents and siblings, the people who were supposed to love and protect you are the ones who bully you to no end, while you have to keep it a secret. It's the loneliest experience that most people just can't understand. Then you hear get over it. They're still your family bullshit. I wouldn't go back in time if you paid me. Narcissistic parents shift blames, mocks, criticizes, shame. They break your soul as a child. A lot of negative things here. So I want to add something positive. Dogs should be men's best friend, etc. Until I got one by myself accidentally through some random happenings, and I couldn't never imagine how many positive influences this creature brought into my life. I think almost everyone is a dog person. Most people just doesn't know yet. Being in a car accident, and as a bonus sustaining a head injury resulting in you not being the same anymore. I don't know who I was before the accident exactly. I'm not sure whether all my shortcomings were there before or they are there now as a result of said accident. I tend to forget some things people as soon as they are discussed happen I meet them. Some remain clear as daylight, though. I can't explain it to people. Poverty. My wife and I had very different upbringings. What she considers poor and what I consider poor are completely different levels of poverty. I'm glad she never had to experience that growing up. That a little more understanding on why I'm set in my ways on some things would be appreciated. She has explained that for her the experiences I and my siblings had is so foreign to her that she just can't understand. Having a baby hanging by a thread in the NICU. The loss of a child as well. We've experienced both and became shells of human beings. I plead with all the pro-choicers out there. You'll think you want to abort until you see the pure innocence for yourself, and by then it'll be too late. Trust me when I say they are not just fetuses. Easy to talk stokely about it when you haven't seen the real thing. Drug addiction, if it was as easy as just quitting, you wouldn't see us out living on the streets killing ourselves to feed the disease. I really hope my last high was my last high, that I had 4 years of solid recovery at one point, and I still fell back. I was luckier than a lot of lovely folks because that relapse didn't kill me, but it very well could if I don't constantly work at it one day at a time. Being a dad. Not just a parent. A dad. It is so different than being a mom, which of course is so much different than being a dad. You do anything with your child in public and there will be assumptions that you're a pedophile. The stares, the playing mom talks, the where's mom today questions, etc. Now that my kids are all older, I see it's getting better. So that's a good thing. Being locked into a mental health facility and being forced to take drugs that are chosen by the state, not a doctor you have a relationship with. I never knew how fucked up our mental health system was until I got really bad PTSD from being drugged. Apparently you can get psychosis from anything. PTSD, heck, even a yeast infection, and cause someone's brain to experience psychosis. Living abroad, immigration, assimilating, culture shock. Certainly not as bad as some of the other things mentioned here, but leaving everything behind to start a new life caused me to be really depressed for the first 2 years. I moved to be with my husband. Loneliness, language barrier, different cultures, cultural expectations and lifestyles. I could go on. Panic attacks. You feel like you are dying and it's the scariest fucking thing. I have medical PTSD and my mum used to yell at me to calm down when I'd be getting in for or a blood test, and you can't just calm down. You can do things to help, but when I'm in that state, I don't want to focus on my breathing or whatever. I want the fuck out of the situation. Drug addiction. Just stop taking them. This binge has lasted 5 months. I'll die. Nurses and doctors don't understand. Twice I've had to have my mother put me in her car and go straight to the grocery store. I need Infer and to be sedated. You are holes. Doctors and people who don't understand alcohol don't understand. They think it's a hangover. It's not. Panic attack. I used to be in the it's all in your head group until it happened to me. Dozens of terrible panic attacks and trips to the elator. And I will argue tooth and nail against anyone who says it's mental. It comes out of literally nowhere, entirely randomly. Hell, it hit me while driving so bad I had to pull over because I couldn't feel my arms. Panic attack. I used to be in the it's all in your head group until it happened to me. Dozens of terrible panic attacks and trips to the elator. And I will argue tooth and nail against anyone who says it's mental. It comes out of literally nowhere, entirely randomly. Hell, it hit me while driving so bad I had to pull over because I couldn't feel my arms. Living with an ADHD or other type of neurodivergent brain. We know how things are supposed to be because we get reminded of that constantly and of our shortcomings which look to others like personality flaws. Sometimes I wouldn't mind trading brains with a neurotypical person for a day. They could enjoy the chaos and I could have a little vacation. Herniated disc. Especially when you're younger. Most people just think it's a sore back. I couldn't walk correctly for 6 months at 23 years old. It was sobering and life-changing, and I found most people don't really care unless they've went through it themselves. You both have an understanding of damn, I'm so sorry you went through that too.